What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Gonna wait for a couple more people to come in. Man, we got an action-packed bunch of topics going on today. But first and foremost, are there any Cowboys fans in the chat? Eagles fans in the chat? My man Dungeon says, good evening, Akeem. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Comments don't seem to be popping up on the computer here. So if you see me looking down like this, I'm just checking out the phone. So this way I have the comments pulled up. But if you don't see it, we're still figuring out this whole playing around with this stuff. But we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. Oh, man, Cowboys. Man, how you feel, man, for the next 5 minutes? Let me know how you feel, man. The frustration. Oh man, lights out. What's up, baby? Good to see you, man. Just the Packers. Man, it's been man. You know what the interesting thing about Cowboy fans? And I went to school with a lot of them, right? Every year they expect it to be their year. And it just doesn't seem to happen like that, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but every year it's your year, and it does not pan out like that. But perhaps next year. But what's going on, everybody, man? How was the day so far? How was yesterday? A bunch of different things happening. Bunch of news came out. But let me touch on what we're talking about today, man. My man Lights Out said I parlayed my NFL picks with my boxing pick. You know what, man? Sometimes it's like that, man. Sometimes it's like that. But the great thing is we have a way of making it back this weekend moving forward, man. My man El Gallo Negro says, how about Tim Bradley showing up last week? That was awesome, man. It really was, man. It was a big surprise. Was not expecting that, but grateful that he was able to come on, and grateful that, you know, everybody tuned in got to see it, man. I wish I would have been able to ask him a bunch more questions, because I know you guys had a bunch of different questions in the chat. But hopefully next time, man. Who knows? Maybe someone else will stop by tonight. We'll see. So let's get started, because I know we have not recapped some of the stuff that happened this weekend. But let me give you the rundown, man. So we're going to talk about the fights this past weekend. Beterbiev, Callum Smith, Mbilli. Then we're going to touch on early thoughts. It hasn't been announced yet, but we're all expecting it to. Talking about Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. We're going to touch on that as well, too. After that, we're going to touch on early thoughts on Anthony Joshua, undercard, and Francis Ngannou. We saw some of the fights that was released. Some pretty good fights, too, that come to mind. I want to hear from each of you. Then we're going to move forward to any changes of prediction this weekend. We know it's Natasha Jonas and Michaela Mayer main card. Then we're going to move forward and talk about the fifth thing, which is, which fighter do you think has the most to prove this year? I'm going to give you guys some time to think on that. I'd love to hear that from you. I don't have a specific fighter in mind, but something I want to hear what you guys think. Then we're going to talk about the cool down segment. We'll explain that if you have not weren't a part of it last week. Lennox Lewis story, if you guys want to hear that. A bunch of people have been messaging me and DMing me about that. Q&A, other topics, and we'll close out with the quote of the week, and we'll keep things pushing, keep things rocking. So let's talk about the fight this weekend, right? Let's start with Jason Moloney and Saul Sanchez. What did we think about that one? What did we think about that fight? What's up, champ? Artur did it, bro. Yeah, my man Michael Brown in the house, man. He absolutely did. And we're going to get there, man. I want to hear all of your thoughts. Let's go to Jason Moloney, Saul Sanchez. What do we think about this fight? First and foremost, it's obviously very early in the year, but this is a fight of the year candidate, man. Very early, of course, but fight of the year candidate once we get to December. Definitely don't make me forget about this one, because this was a very, very good fight. And it was a fight where when we did the breakdown of it, I felt like, sometimes just because we haven't heard too much about a fighter does not mean that they're not good. Sometimes they just don't have the opportunity and the stage. And Sanchez, man, did he ever rise to the occasion? Like, he fought a great fight. He looked more of a bigger puncher than I did when I was watching him on tape. Like, he looked really good. And in the beginning, man, you were kind of weary. Like, okay, is Moloney going to get caught with a shot here? Saul was going to the body. Like, it's looking kind of rough for Moloney. But the one thing that I will say Moloney did, man, is sometimes we forget how physical of a fighter that he can be. You look at both of these men, and it's kind of easy to see who has the more tools how to win the fight. Moloney can box on the outside. He can bang on the inside. But there were moments where I'm like, man, you're going to have to stand and push him back. You're going to have to stand and be the aggressor. Even if I would say Sanchez is a bigger puncher, but I was very impressed with how Moloney handled the physicality and the adjustments that he made in the fight. Let's check out some of these comments. Moloney Sanchez was a fun fight. Very, very good fight, man. My man Lights Out says best fight of the night. Moloney won because of his name, if you ask me. Interesting. So you think that he kind of got that championship nod, which is also something that, we also shouldn't be surprised at, right? I think they're always going to lean towards the champion unless the champion is losing significantly. He's always going to get that edge, right? And he's also got a great story about him, promotion behind him. He's the more well-known fighter, but he was in for a fight. And I don't think that he knew that he was going to be in for a fight like that. So I thought it was a great fight, man, an underrated fight, a fight of the year candidate, and a fight that I would not mind seeing again. I don't think we're going to see it again, but I sure hope that Sanchez doesn't fall in the cracks and doesn't get opportunities to fight again, because he is good, man. And we'll see what Moloney does next, man. I think he's definitely has been fighting some tough fights in the past couple fights. Maybe he'll be looking for an easier fight moving forward, but very good card. Really enjoyed this fight, man. It was a fight. Love to see a rematch. Probably not going to see it, but best fight of the night, as my man Lights Out says. Let's move forward. Let's talk about Christian Mbilli, Rohan Murdock. What do you guys think about this fight, man? What do you guys think about this fight? It was one-sided, Sometimes you see a fighter, man, and obviously these guys are in the ring. They're risking their lives. They're putting everything on the line, and you have to respect that. Absolutely, 1,000%. You got to respect it. But the other thing too, man, was, Murdock took a beating. He took some punishment. He got beat up so bad every single round. It was hard shots after hard shots, and the man has some type of granite chin on him because he took some flush shots that I'm like, wait a minute. Yo, you should not be standing like this. You should not be walking forward like this. You shouldn't be just coming forward, because he kept getting popped, kept getting cracked. And it was just one shot after another. And it got to a point where you always want the fighter and the coach and the trainer to be on the same page. And the trainer, they've known each other for since their whole career. And you want to say, you know what, man, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I believe you can turn things around. But every round just looked consistently the same. And at some point, you got to say, like, is he really turning things around? Do I want him to turn it around? Am I being blinded by what I'm seeing? Because it got to a point where sometimes fight gets so ugly, you just don't want to see anymore. And we all like knockouts. But it just got to a point where I was just like, man, this guy, he's going to die in the ring if this keeps happening. And some of the, Mbilli's double uppercut that he was landing in that fight was beautiful. Beautiful to see. All right, let's get some of these. My man Dungeon says Murdock got a good chin, a great chin, granite style type of chin. Man Lights Out says Mbilli didn't come to play. He got his nose busted in the process. He wasn't going to stop until he put him away completely. Man, absolutely. KE Boomerang says Mbilli, another product of Mark Ramsey. My man Rocky Austin, what's up, Rock? Mbilli is too green for the big names. Lights Out says Murdock corner should have stopped the fight. Man, completely agree. I'm at the point now where I know Mbilli is good. We know he's got the skills. We know what he can do, man. But we want to see him tested a little bit more. We want to see him against those top guys to really see how good that he is. We know he can punch. We know he's strong. He's built. But I also feel like his style sometimes is just a little bit one-sided. Like he's kind of one-dimensional in some ways. But that doesn't mean it can't work in his favor. But we want to see these tests. We want to see him in these fights moving forward and not against guys he's supposed to beat. I'm just ready to see him being tested because I do believe he has the physical abilities and capabilities, man. He's definitely got the heart and the will. All right, here we go. Lights Out says Murdock should have stopped the fight sooner. Yes, Mbilli is #1 WBC. I did hear him say that. He talked about Canelo, but I don't think Canelo is even looking at that by no means. Hey, Jesus M, what's up, big dog? How you doing, man? Morrell would test Mbilli. That would be a great fight. High risk for kind of both men, but that would be a great fight. Man, Rocky says, I saw a lot of flaws in Mbilli. Yeah, absolutely, man. I saw it too. My man Jesus says, who would you match Mbilli against next? That's a great question, man. That's a great question. Let me think about that one and get back to you. That's a good question. Breezy B, what's up? Mbilli versus Munguia would be a great fight. Never thought about that one. K.E. Boomerang says, I got Mbilli, but Morrell would win. I think Morrell can do a little bit more. I think he is more of a complete fighter than Mbilli. But at the same time, man, Mbilli's engine and pressure and the power, it kind of wears you down a little bit. That would be a good fight. Credit to Murdock. He was there to win. Absolutely. Moloney and Sanchez could have went either way after watching the fight. Absolutely. Mbilli was fun to watch. Mbilli versus Berlanga. Man, I think Mbilli beats Berlanga. I just think the pressure would be a little bit too much. But Mbilli, Berlanga, man, you guys throwing some really good names out here, man. That's what I'm talking about. All in all, one-sided fight. Mbilli had a great fight. We just want to see more. We want to see him against those top guys so we can really see how good that he is. Let's move forward. Let's talk about the main event. Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. What did we think about this fight? Give me your thoughts. Because what we're talking about next stems from what I personally saw in this fight. Give me your thoughts on this fight, man. This was an interesting fight, man, because we know Callum Smith can fight. We know his skill set. We know he's moving up in weight, and he says this weight suits him a little bit better. All of that good stuff. So we know that in the history of Beterbiev, he's a little bit of a slow starter, right? Until he is forced to start a little bit quicker, as we saw with Joe Smith. That's when he usually goes on the attack. That's when he usually starts to make his move. But this fight, man, I saw a complete version of Artur Beterbiev. Like we saw all of the things on display. There are times when, because of his power, because of the heavy-handedness, because of the crushing natural power that he has, there are more times than not, he just bulldozes through people. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have to put that boxing display, IQ on display. He just bulldozes people. But then there are fights where we see he takes his time. He's more tactical. He's setting traps. He's using his footwork. He's setting things up, and he's putting you in positions that he wants you to be in. And when you think you have an opening and you're getting your momentum off, getting your shots off, he takes that energy and that momentum right back, and then he's on the offensive. And we saw that with Callum Smith. Man, there was a shot where, man, Beterbiev caught Callum Smith right in the neck. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Like the man's neck just flew from right to left. And I'm like, man, once he started to close the gap, you got the sense it was only a matter of time before those thudding shots started to land. Let's see what the chat's saying. You say he was going to stop late. Yeah, man. I was thinking between round 7 to 10. That's what I thought it was going to happen in my breakdown. I believe I said that, or maybe in the comments, but I thought it was going to be 7-9, 7-10. Breezy B says, impressive first person to drop KO. And I think that actually gets a little bit like washed over, right? Because we expect that from Beterbiev. We saw every fight he stopped his opponents, but we can't also downplay the fact that, man, he beat a man that has never been stopped before, hasn't been dropped before. Canelo punched him up for 12 rounds, but never dropped him. And Beterbiev dropped him a couple times before he stopped him. And we were also thinking at 39, like, what more does he have left? And to me, from what I saw, man, it seems like, he's continuing to improve. Yeah, Beterbiev is there to get hit. He's gotten hit. Callum Smith has some good moments, but I saw a more determined, focused Beterbiev that wasn't playing around with his food, right? He was just very tactical and strategic with the breakdown because he was just touching him. Not really touching them with heavy punches, but just touching them. And even the jabs looked like it was hurting Callum Smith. He pushed that jab forward. Callum Smith's neck was getting rocked back, but it wasn't hard shots. He was waiting. Just touching him up, And then he decided to unload at the right time, man. It was like he was just, like when you're trying to tenderize chicken, right? And you take that gravel and you just hit it and you hit it and you hit it and you hit it. And round to round, it gets a little bit softer and softer and softer. And eventually he just did what he did, man. All right, let's see what this comment says. Let's see. It was a masterclass. Chris Welch says it was a masterclass. And greatness from Beterbiev. For me, Smith still a good fighter. Yard, perfect fight. Next for Smith, Beterbiev. I like that fight. Man, Dungeon says, don't know what Smith's game plan going into this fight was. I don't know, man. He was trying something. My man, Rocky Austin says, after Artur showed that he still got it, no signs of father time. He's proving that age is just a number. Bivol is next. Brother Francisco, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Always good to see you. Man, Robin says, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, that uppercut, that throat was nasty, wasn't it? Oh, I was just like, man, I saw the man's neck vein come over here. I said, geez, bro, like this man's got that type of punishing power, man. All right, let's see. K Boomerang says Beterbiev has the best timing and accuracy in boxing. His jab is like a power punch. I agree. Michael Brown says he got a lot left in the tank. I think so as well too, man. I was very impressed with how he handled the inactivity and the time off and still performed very, 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 very well. Here we go. Let's see. Man, Antonio. What's up, Antonio? Says Beterbiev is frightening. Is he ever? K Boomerang says the tank of Beterbiev is never empty. Absolutely. Love the chicken analogy, man. Lights Out says Beterbiev might be the best pound for pound fighter in the world at this point. Canelo couldn't stop Smith, but he could. I like that, man. I like that. I don't want to see no Canelo and Beterbiev talks. No, we're gonna stop that. My man Matthew G. What's up, Matthew? Says I think Smith was game and he had the experience, but I think Beterbiev's KO power and ring IQ was too much for Smith. The ring rust didn't help Callum Smith out either. Absolutely, man. I couldn't get the thought out of my head when Callum Smith fought Canelo and the way how Callum Smith responded to Canelo. I couldn't think inside my head, like, if Canelo did him like this, how in the world is he going to be able to stand up to Beterbiev like this? Like, I just couldn't get that out of my head. But Callum Smith did fight a better fight against Beterbiev than he did against Canelo Alvarez. My man Breezy B says, do you understand what's up with the atypical test with Artur? I heard bits and pieces about that. I don't know the full extent of it, man. So I don't want to give you a terrible answer. They're talking about human growth. I don't know the full situation. I'd have to go back and read. If anybody watching, if you know a little bit more about it, read a little bit more about it, man, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Let's see. I got to figure out how to put the comments on the chat. I'm going to figure it out. Man, Chris Wells says, I'm UK fan. Man, you over the man, what's up, man? I had to stay up at 4 a.m. our time to watch the whole card with no sleep, man. Like, yo, I always wonder that. Like over in the UK, like what do you guys do to stay up a little bit? I mean, are you hitting the coffee? Like, doing some push-ups? Like, what are you doing to stay up, man? Because I'm on the East Coast down here. The fights be ending at like 12. I'd be having to try to get some rest, church early in the morning, man. So let me know what you be doing. I mean, Jesus says, do you see that Beterbiev insane strength conditioning workouts is taken to the box and beyond? Man, I saw some of the stuff that he was doing. Like he was flipping the bench bar. Man, I don't know if many of you have seen those bench bars, those Olympic bars, but me training, those things are like 45 pounds. Like they're hard, and the man's twirling them. And then I saw him, doing some body weight stuff with push-ups on his hands. Man, dude, the man is doing his thing. He's got that old school chopping trees, chopping rocks type of strength, man. You love to see it. My man Mythiner says, love your channel, but you keep mispronouncing Naoya Inoue's name. Naoya. Look, man, I'm probably going to pronounce a lot of them more wrong, but I'm trying to get it right. Did I say that right? Naoya, did I say that right? Trying to get it right. But all in all, man, our Beterbiev, I mean, what more can you say? Great performance again. He did what he usually does, and that's knock cats out. Let's move forward to the second thing. And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. We haven't heard it announced yet. We've heard them touch on it a little bit. They're talking about certain dates. So we don't want to speculate too much. We don't want to get really too into it like that. It's just a thought until it's announced. In boxing, anything can happen. But what is your early thoughts on AB versus Bivol? What do you think about this one? Man, I was... Before I give my thoughts, man, I want to hear some of yours, because did anything change for you in this fight if you were leaning one way or the other? Let me know. Nah, man, your pronunciation prove a lot. Man, I'm trying. I'm trying. I appreciate you. Noia. See, I be butchering stuff. I'm gonna get it right. Beterbiev, Bivol. What do we think? My man Mythandar says, Artur wins, rooting for Bivol. Man, what I've said before in Bivol, and I'm sure many of you have seen, Bivol is such a disciplined, technical fighter. Like, he doesn't do too much to overextend himself. He doesn't take too many risks until he has to. We saw when he fought Lyndon Arthur, we saw there were opportunities for him to be able to get the stoppage and for him to move forward, for him to get the stoppage, take that risk, and he could have done it. But he doesn't want to get hit, and he's not going to put himself in that danger. He can keep the distance and outbox you any given day. But you need to be able to take that risk against a guy like Beterbiev. And there's a cost, though, when you put yourself out there. When you move forward and you try to land your own shot, what happens when he comes forward? When you're on the ropes, we know Bivol has great feet. He moves very well inside of the ring, but so does Beterbiev. He moves very well as well, too. He makes great adjustments as well, too. So what are the small things that's going to take the momentum into either fighter's favor? My man D2B says Beterbiev batters him. Hey, man, I'm not mad at that. Dungeon says, I think Beterbiev gets Bivol out of there in the championship rounds. Rock Yawson says 50-50 fight, but I'm leaning towards Beterbiev by late stoppage. I think the movement of Bivol will cause definite problems for Artur. I agree on both of those. Late round bludgeoning. Bludgeoning is a tough word, bro. That's a tough word. Man, Chris Welsh says coffee and caffeine. I have to stay awake in the UK. Man, power to you, man. Man, it's what time is it over there right now, man? Hey, shout out to you, man, for taking the time, man. I really appreciate that, man. Let's see. Robin says great opposition of style. Beterbiev, Bivol, probably the best fight we could get in 2024. Super pumped. I just want to know the date. I want to see it. So we can talk about it, so we can actually Believe it and see it. Bivol versus Beterbiev is so intriguing. Absolutely one of the best fights of 2024, I think it might be, because we've been asking for it. We're probably not going to get the other fight that we want to see, which is Canelo versus Benavidez. Probably not going to get that. So I hope we can get that one. Let's see. Beterbiev will probably be down a couple of the rounds. Absolutely. He'll come on late. Corner retirement. Woo, that's vicious. That's vicious. Breezy B says also, though Bivol was hurt against Smith, who was getting badly outboxed, Artur is a better boxer and slugger than Smith. I agree. What do you think of Nick Ball, man? Hold that thought. We got that coming next. Hold that thought, my man. We got that coming next. Lights Out says, I can't even speculate on that one yet. I got to see them at the weigh-in. One thing about those two is they're always going to look good. Always going to look good. Chris Welsh, 1255, man. Man, I appreciate you, man. Hey, but if you got to go to bed, man, I understand. I understand if you got to get some sleep. I appreciate you tuning in, man. My man Michael Brown says, I think the fight go the distance. Beterbiev. It's definitely a possibility. Yannick Lloyd, what's up, Yannick, says the textbook Bivol style ain't going to work against AB. You got to step to that, man. That's the truth. That's the truth right there. Chris Wells says either Bivol on points or Beterbiev late stoppage. Brother Francisco says real tough fight to pick, leaning towards Bivol because he's obsessive about controlling distance, but not making an official prediction yet till fight week. Have to think about it some more. Man, 1000%. 10 a.m. over there. Got to get started to work. Man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. Definitely get some rest, man. Thank you for taking the time to tune in and sharing your thoughts. Always good to see you down here, Robin, man. I appreciate you, man. Let's move forward. Let's touch on early thoughts. Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, undercard. Bunch of good fights on that card, but the two that stuck out to me, Zhilei Zhang, Joe Parker. It's funny, man. Joe Parker beat Wilder, big puncher, and then gets rewarded with another big puncher. Good fight, though, man. Good fight. Another one on the card, Ray Vargas, Nick Ball. Get to this last one. Matthew G says, Beterbiev versus Bivol is a tough fight to call. Can Bivol handle the constant pressure and power of Beterbiev? Can Beterbiev close the distance with Bivol? Man, that's all questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing it and how that one unfolds, man. So, Zhang, Parker, what do we think real early? What do we think about that fight? You know, if Joe Parker beats Zhang again, I don't know who the favorite is. That's the other thing, too. Like, you guys generally are the ones that tell me the favorite because I don't know the odds and stuff. I don't bet, right? So when you guys tell me the odds, I'm like, oh, this person's the favorite. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, this person's the favorite. So I find out when you guys tell me who the odds are. So biting that, Zhang is probably the one who is going to be the favorite. I don't know yet, just assuming so. Joe Parker, what happens if Joe Parker beat Wilder last year, right? And then comes in and beats Zhang? What do we think about that fight? Oh, man, Chris Webster, don't worry. I mispronounced Beterbiev. I pronounced better instead of, man, I do it all the time, man. K Boomerang says Zhang versus Parker will be better than Joshua versus Ngannou. Man, we're going to touch on that real quickly. Let's see. D2B says Parker would probably be the slight favorite, to be honest. Why do you think that? You think so? Over Big Bang? I don't know, man. Well, he might be because of the win over Deontay Wilder. But Bang, beat Joyce twice. Interesting to see when it comes out. Let's see. Chris Welsh. Andy Lee seems to be in Coop and Parker. Team Leo will have plan for Zhang. Team Leo. I agree. Mark T says Zhang looks way more skills than Wilder and has one punch power too. Man, I think a fight with Zhang over in China would be crazy, man. I think that would be crazy. But Zhang, man, I gotta say, man, at the beginning, I wasn't really wasn't big into him like that. But the more I started watching him and seeing He's got that sniper type of style. He's tactical. He's got put strategy behind it. Got the power. He's confident with it. Thought that's a great fight. So Ray Vargas, Nick Ball is a very interesting fight, man. And I think that one could also be the one that steals the fight of the night, depending on what type of Ray Vargas that we get. Because we haven't seen Vargas since his fight with Oshaki Foster, so he's coming off a loss. And we saw what Nick Ball did to Isaac Dogboe and how good that he looked in that fight. This is 3 great fights right here. I'm not going to say Anthony Joshua and Ngannou was a great fight yet. Obviously, we don't know any of these fights are going to be great yet until it happens. It could be one-sided, but Vargas, Nick Ball was a good fight. What do we think about that one? D2B says the win and also that Zhang is old. Zhang is what, 40 now? 40? 39, 40? I think he's got a couple more fights left in him, though, man. I'm going to give him the benefit of that in that category. D says, people talk about Beterbiev being old. Zhang is in his 40s as well, too. I believe Zhang is 40, man. I think he's 39, 40. 39, 40 years old. Lights Out says Zhang KO. Breezy B says, I feel Zhang versus Parker is a 50-50 fight. I think so, too, depending on what weight Zhang comes in at, man. K.E. Boomerang says, I doubt Zhang is in the gym like Beterbiev. I don't believe that he is either. Yannick Lau says, Zhang's conditioning is going to be the X factor. I favor his skills. Yeah, you know, he tires out a little bit in the latter rounds. Chris Wells says, Vargas Ball with the fire, depending which Vargas turns up. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're never sure how a fighter is going to come back off of a loss. So some question marks in Ray Vargas's corner, but it's a good test, man, because Ball is going to make him work. You know, Vargas has the physical advantages, height, size, reach, but Ball has proven that, look, I don't care about those physical attributes, man. You got to beat me on the night. You know, that pressure and the skill that he does possess. Good fight. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, he's 40. Chris Wells says, Ball, first world title shot, I'm pretty sure. I had Dogboe stopping Ball. How wrong was I? Man, I just felt like it was going to be a close fight, man. But I felt like Ball and Dogboe, I just felt like the pressure of Ball would kind of be too much. And sometimes Dogboe kind of doubts himself, man. You can't doubt yourself in those fights, man. And, you know, so good win for him, man. Let's see. Produced by Watson. What's up, man? Good to see you down here, man. Vargas should win. Yeah, we'll see. Lights Out says Vargas better watch out. This is coming from a Mexican. Nick Ball got some pop in them shots, and he's aggressive. That man, I like him. What do you think about Nakatani Moloney? Man, I tell you right now, man. You know, on the channel, you know, we're not biased on here, right? And that's one thing when I decided to do the channel, I wanted to be very adamant about not being biased of anybody, even if I have a relationship with them where I like one a little bit more. But Nakatani, man, I like Nakatani over a lot of people. I like Nakatani over a lot of people, man. That man is legit. He's the real deal. I like him over a lot of people, man. Let's see. Produced by Watson says Dogboe never thought like that before, in my opinion. I know him as a boxer. He didn't do that against Ball. Yeah, man. D2B says Nakatani did him so dirty. Man, did he ever. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick. Get your feel and energy on what you guys think about those one. Let's talk real quickly about any of the predictions from this weekend that we've done. Obviously, we know this weekend is Natasha Jonas versus Michaela Mayer. The comments some were kind of divided. Some were going with Mayer. Some were going with Jonas. We also did, what else did we do this week? We also did Mark Jeffers and Jermaine Brown. Let's touch on Jonas and Mayer a little bit. Nothing changed for me in this category. I still like Michaela Mayer in this fight, but it's going to be interesting to see how Mayer handles a southpaw. You know, the left hand of Natasha Jonas. She's got power. I think she's getting a little bit older. I think she's almost 40 herself. I think she has a couple more fights in her, but, you know, I just see Michaela Mayer being able to outwork her a little bit more if the rounds are close, but she can't come in recklessly because Jonas, she's got that sniper with her, man. She can punch. She's accurate. She moves very well. Looked very well in her last fight. Michaela Mayer looked a little bit flat-footed in her last fight, a little heavy-footed in her last fight, but, you know, as she's moving up in weight. But for me, I'm still leading towards Michaela Mayer to win that fight. Let's see what we got here. Everyone is biased a little bit. I admire people who admit they're biased more than people who say they have none. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, man. I hear you. Let's see. D2B says Mayer wins, hoping Jonas wins. Get that. Beterbiev says rooting for Jonas. Yannick Lloyd says Mayer should perform well, but likely fight to a draw in the UK. That's another thing that came to mind as I was making the video. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. If you guys know the odds of that, like what would that be? Let me know in the comments if you checked out the odds. What would it be in the draw? So, you know, it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm expecting it to be competitive through and through. Obviously, we know how quickly the women's rounds go. So it's really hard for them to really get into a groove. So they have to get off to a fast start because it's just so short. As quickly as it starts, it goes so quickly, man. But a great opportunity for Michaela Mayer to kind of get back into the swing of things. But Jonas is going to make it tough, man. I'm really curious to see how she's going to handle a southpaw. Mayer says she's fought some southpaws before in the interviews that I've seen, but I don't think any of them is as good as Natasha Jonas. Let's see. Woo, plus 900 for a woo. Yeah, that's nice. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I might have to sprinkle a little bit on that because it's definitely possible. Plus 900. Yeah, that's nice right there. That's nice right there. So no changes for me. I still feel the same way. Still going with Michaela Mayer to win the fight. Decision. Still going with Mark Jeffers beating Jermaine Brown. Decision. My man Lights Out says FanDuel plus 1260. Jeez. It's a nice payday for someone if it does go there. But let's move up. Last week, we went for like an hour and 12 minutes, man. So gonna try to keep this under an hour, depending on if you guys want to go a little bit longer. We'll see. So this is an interesting one. And one name kind of comes to mind as we talk about this one. This one is just one that came to mind that I want to hear your thoughts on, right? Which fighter do you think has the most to prove this year? For me, when I think about this one, man, honestly, I'm going to the heavyweights right now. I'm thinking about Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury has a lot to prove this year, man. I think he has a lot to prove this year. Going back to when he fought Ngannou and even before that, all the stuff that he's been talking about Usyk and going back and forth in this, man. When he fought Francis Ngannou, man, he didn't come into that fight, in my opinion, with any type of oomph to it. It felt like he was just going through the motions. He was talking a big game, and then he didn't come in. I don't really feel like he trained for it. Yeah, we know Fury's really always generally a big guy, but more times than not, he comes in with a little bit of muscle definition, a little bit of that I didn't see in that fight. I don't think he's going to be in the sport much longer, honestly, in my opinion. I think if he wins, he may fight one more fight, maybe Anthony Joshua, because it's such a big fight. If AJ wins, even if AJ loses, that's still a big draw. But I think for as good as he says that he is, as good and as great as he believes that he is, man, my last impression of him is the Francis Ngannou fight. And it's hard to get out of my head, man. It's hard to get out of my head. Hard to get out of my head as someone who considers himself the greatest heavyweight to ever do it. The greatest, or more times than not, always disciplined, man. Always in the gym, always trying to get better and better and better. And the one thing I know about as you age, man, it's the small habits that really separate you and help you to get better and prolong your career, or it eats at you and it makes you a little bit more susceptible to losing, and the fights become harder. Making weight becomes I haven't seen that same hungry, disciplined Tyson Fury that I've seen. So for me, would love to hear from you guys. Which fighter do you think has the most to prove this year? Different conversations. Some people say Gervonta Tank Davis, right? I had conversations when I asked a couple other people, they say Tank, right? Ask this conversation again. Some other people just have different things, man. So for me, it's Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury has a lot to prove this year because, you know, if this was a couple years back, I'd say Tyson Fury beats Usyk cleanly. But now I'm not so sure. Now I'm not so sure. Now I am not so sure. Man, DB says all those dudes arrive 135, 140. Absolutely. Man, Lights Out said Tyson Fury's already proved himself a few times now. He's trying to prove to the world he's still got something in his tank. He should bow out graciously here soon if he can pull this off. Yeah, I think at best he's probably got 2 more fights before he really calls it off. He's got all the money he needs. He's gotten the belts. He's beaten big guys. It's just, I don't really think his heart is fully in it anymore. I think if he beats Usyk, bring on AJ, massive payday, and I think he'll be out after that. I don't see him doing another 3 years, 2 years. I think after this, he's probably got 1 more and then he's out. And I'm not mad at that. I'd probably do the same, to be honest. Man, Chris Welsh says Munguia. Let's see. D2 says Tank certainly has a lot to prove, but he don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Gervonta Davis guy, man. He's getting money. He's making a lot of money. He's getting the big fights. I think he's going to continue doing that. Is what it is. My man, Chris Welsh says Okolie could be another one. He's gone quiet. Man, I saw a photo of Okolie, and my man's eating good. I'm gonna just leave it at that. He eating good. He eating good. I haven't heard from him either. Man, Lights Out says Daniel Dubois has a lot to prove. Absolutely, man. I think mentally, from a mental standpoint, that win in his last fight, man, against Big Baby Miller, man, I thought that was a very good win for him from a mentality standpoint because, he needed that type of win. I mean, Francisco says maybe Earl Spence and Ryan Garcia for different reasons. I absolutely agree. I don't like the fact that Ryan Garcia pulled out of the Devin Haney fight and choosing to fight. What'd he say? He wanted to fight Rolly, and then now he's saying he wants to fight Pitbull Cruz. I like Garcia, man, but man, he was talking about he wants the big fights, man. So I think he does have something to prove there. I agree with that. Errol Spence, man, I don't know when we're gonna see Spence next, man. The photo that I've seen that you've seen, eye socket. I don't know, man. I just want to see him back in the ring. I hope he does not go out like that. But if that's what he chooses to do for the betterment of his life moving forward, then we got to respect that. But I would love to see the true Spence back into the ring, man. Let's see. Errol, his career may be very well over. I hope not. I hope we get to see him again, man. I think he's done very well throughout his career, man. I respect the fact that he stood on his word. He said, I'm going to go and get the belts, and then I'm going to double it back, and I'm going to go fight Bud Crawford. So he had to go take those belts from those champions, and those champions are arguably Hall of Famers in their own right. So I respect what he did during his time in the welterweight division. Went, got the belts, came back around and said, I said I was going to get them. Now I'm coming back to you. I respect that. All right, let's see. Hey, whatever happened to Boazzi? That fight got rescheduled. I think Dan Aziz had a back problem or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that fight's happening next month on the 3rd, I believe. So we'll see, man. Boazzi was talking about Bivol, but, his trainer didn't want that. Maybe we get that next. I'm ready to see Boazzi in some bigger fights, but you got to get past Dan Aziz first, man. So Boazzi's a good name. I almost forgot about Boazzi, man. I like Boazzi. Jamel Charlo got to bounce back from a crazy 2023. Got to save the family name if he can. Man, the Charlo brothers, they both got to get back into the ring, man. They both got to get back into the ring. They both have some things that they have to prove to themselves, and they're skilled and talented, man. And just want to see them back in the ring, man. There's a lot of outside noise trying to tear them apart. And, some stuff is self-inflicted, but, some stuff, is want to see them back into the ring, just like how you guys want to do as well, too. Here we go. Let's see. Errol has nothing left to prove to anyone. Man, I agree with that. I agree with, again, as I said, I respect someone who says, I'm going to go and get the belts from these guys over here. Then I'm going to come back around and double down on what I said about you. I'm going to give you your shot, give you your opportunity to get it, man. And not a lot of people are people of their word. You know what I'm saying? Spence beat the top guys when they were in their prime as well, too. Remember prime Cal Brook? Man, so I agree with that one, man. Let's go. My man says, D2B says, picking Rolly is a high key cherry pick. Yeah. Lights Out says Spence should put his health first and stay away. That I ain't got nothing to play with. I completely agree. And after all the stuff that he's been through, man, he's been through a lot of different things, man. My man Matthew G says this might be surprising, but I think Alberto Venado Lopez has a lot to prove this year. I would like to see him fight tougher competition to truly unify 126. Man, big fan of Lopez, man. Big fan of Lopez. That's a very interesting point, Matthew G, man. That's a very interesting point. Very interesting name. D2B says Boatsi versus Bivol I don't like that one either. Yeah, his trainer might be onto something, man. D2B says nothing but respect for Errol. Was always a fan, but I gained a ton of respect for him after taking that ass whooping from Crawford and didn't whine and act a fool like some other boxers. Oh man, Chris Wells says we always overrate our fighters here in the UK. Maybe that's just my opinion. I never rate our fighters highly, not to the elite anyway. You know what's crazy, brother Chris, is I've heard a lot of people say that as well too, man. They for whatever reason, they just, they say UK fighters are only good in the UK, but when they go to different parts, they kind of fold, man. So that's just what I've been saying. It's interesting to hear you say the same thing. I'm a big fan of UK fighters, man. I love the atmosphere and the scene over there, man. I always find them to be very supportive. Man, Chris Wallace says, Chris Wallace keeping it real. Isn't he? Man, Rocky Austin says, Errol is done, dude. He will get destroyed again if he moves up to 154. Tim Tszyu, Mendoza, Virgil will rip him a new one. Hey, man, talk your talk, Rocky. Talk your talk, man. Talk that talk. Lights Out says Mick Conlon got to prove he's not going to get knocked out all of the time. Man, shout out to Mick Conlon, man. But, I hope he takes some time off and just get his things together, man, because he has not been looking too good as of recently. He just need to take some time off, man. Take your time, man. All right, here we see Conor Ben to prove his innocence. That's my answer. Oh, man, Conor Ben, man. Much respect for Ben, man. Just keep away from the eggs, my brother. Keep away from the eggs. Do you agree Hamza Shariz is the best prospect in the UK? Man, I have to defer that to everyone in the UK. Like my man Chris Wells probably give you a little bit more because he's over there. I think Shariz got a lot of potential, man, a lot of skill, a lot of upside. But I don't know all of the prospects coming up in the UK to give you a better answer, man. So Mick Conlon's chin is made of paper. He needs to retire, man. I think, when you get hit too many times in the ring, man, you just question yourself. I think he's just questioning himself. He might get touched up one time and he might be like, you know what? Not really about this, man. So shout out to Mick Conlon, man. Hopefully you're getting your rest, man. Hopefully you're getting your rest. Very skillful fighter, though. Very skillful fighter. Man, Yannick Lloyd says Shakur has a lot to prove as well. The young man's got to show his heart in the ring. Man, who did Shakur say he wanted to fight next? I don't remember who he said he wanted to fight next. I think he wanted to say Neverate, something like that. Am I wrong in saying that? I thought I heard him say that somewhere. You know, man, Shakur, one of my favorite fighters. There's no denying how skilled and talented that man is. He's hard to hit. But at the same time, you know, the performance in his last performance, man, against Edwin De Los Santos, man, someone said in the comments when I did my 2023 Fight of the Year stuff, someone said, I forgot who it was, he said snooze fest of the year. And that was kind of funny, man. He said that was the best of the year. But Shakur Stevenson, one of my favorite fighters, man. I would love to see him fight a lot more this year. And yeah, we want to see that heart and that will. We want to see him. But Shakur, man, he's so good. He might not have to, man. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's see. Matthew G says, I would like to see Abdullah Mason continue to climb up the ranks, gradually step up in competition because he has potential to be great. Absolutely. Abdullah is what, like 19, 20 years old, something like that. I would actually love to see Xander Zayas fight better competition, man. I think he's ready. What do you guys think about that? All right, let's see. Shakur is a good shout out. His last fight was trash, man. It's tough not to say that as well too. Man, Lights Out says I gotta stop clowning Mick Conlon because I like the guy, but he keeps messing up my bets. Oh man. Chris Welsh says appreciate you getting back to us. Chris says Sharice got potential but needs to step up massively. Liam Williams is no joke. Is a joke of an opponent. We saw the way Eubank was clowning around with him in that ring. Eubank could have closed out that fight, man. I was hoping Eubank would have, did his thing. But shout out to Eubank for his comeback performance in his last fight as well, too. My man Mithrandir says everyone, Shakur's last fight was trash. D2B1 says I fell asleep by the 9th round. Pablo B, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. I arrived a bit late, but not that late to say many thanks for your work, man. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I know you were dropping a lot of heat last week, so thank you again. Everybody watching, seriously, thank you for taking the time to tune in, man. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the engagement. You guys sharing your thoughts, man. Let's see. Mithrander says, but who beats him? Everyone. Shakur Stevenson's hey man, he's tough to beat, man. Tough to beat. Strickland versus Duplessis, UFC this weekend. It's actually happening right in Montreal, in the hometown of Canada, man. Very quickly, very briefly, I thought when Strickland fought Adesanya, I thought Adesanya kind of backed off, gave him way too much respect, looked very lackadaisical. I think a better version of Adesanya pieces up Strickland very easily, in my opinion. I saw some of the stuff that Strickland was doing. I don't really know where this guy is at mentally, man. He's doing so many different things that seems like he's not preparing fully for the fight. I could be wrong. That could just be who he is, but I think Duplessis, I think I would lean him, in my opinion. It's been a while since I talked a little bit of UFC, man. Really been a while. Let's see. Chris Wells says, what's your thoughts on Shakur getting criticized? Personally, I just think it shows he's a great boxer, which is what it's all about over here in the UK. Our delusional fans tweak for knockouts. Man, I was actually a lot more disappointed in Edwin De Los Santos because you knew what Shakur was doing past a certain round, and he didn't really do anything to press the pace or to take that risk. He kind of just followed Shakur around the ring, and Shakur, for whatever reason, the thing with Shakur is he knows what he can do. He knows what he can get away with, and he knows he doesn't have to do a whole lot to win the fight. He can hit and not get hit, so I was expecting Shakur to fight a safe fight if he felt the power of De Los Santos, as was a little bit worried and cautious if he could take it. I thought he fought a safe fight. He was barely touched, so you could go a bunch of different routes, but I think Shakur in the right circumstances, I think we will see a better version of his. He's tough to beat. It's a tough night for anyone. He frustrates you. He does a lot of things that you just don't want to deal with, right? Yeah, the fight wasn't as exciting. It wasn't what we wanted. But if we're talking about, or say the sweet science, and the sweet science of boxing is to hit and not get hit, and he did a pretty good job of that. Let's see. Zayas is with Top Rank. No, I think they're not trying to end him up with another Frank. Yeah, you could be right about that, man. You think GG has one more? Man, no, I think he's done. Oh, man, D2B says GG is proudly retired. Yeah, he definitely should be. Lights Out says, I just want to see Ben Whitaker get KO'd. I really can't stand that dude. Yeah, anybody can do the taunting stuff, and anybody can be overly confident when you're fighting people you're supposed to beat. You can't be taunting like that against some of the other guys. Building him up, enjoy it as it goes, right? Mr. Mechanical, what's up, man? Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Man, Pablo says, man, this year, I can't wait to see prospects like Dalton Smith, Jonas Tellez, Floyd Schofield. That's another name that came to mind. And Abdullah Mason. Great names across the board. Let's see. Mr. Mechanical says, Mason, Teo, undercard in a few weeks. Good fight. Liam Williams will get destroyed by Cherise easily, right? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Didn't know. That's great news for me. Mr. Nicole Chris Wells says, I expect that. D2B says, Edwin didn't do SHIT. Shakur did. Shakur things. Simple said. Simply said. Breezy B says, you think Chris Colbert would be the same after the 3 beatings? No, I don't. I don't think he will be the same. I don't see his confidence. Yeah, no. We're gonna keep that as it is. Tell us it's tough. Yes. Yeah. So Thursday Super Bowl weekend, man. Yeah. So a lot to prove this year. Man, we've been on here for 57 minutes. We still got 2 more things to touch on. Let's move forward to the cool down segment. What is the cool down segment? If you tune in last week, my background is in track and field. In track and field, after you race, after a session, there's a cool down segment, and that's when you kind of just ease down. You talk about whatever. So in this segment, we talk about whatever questions you guys may have, other topics. A lot of people have been asking me about the Lennox Lewis story that I touched on last week that I did not talk about. We'll get to that very shortly if you guys want to hear it. But any questions, man, let me know. Let me know. There are some questions that we had from last week that I'm going to pull up from the DMs on Instagram and Twitter that I want to get to. There's about 5 of them. So I'll read those, and then any question that you guys have, we'll touch on those. So one of the questions we had from last week says, Akeem, appreciate your work, man. I'm thinking of creating a YouTube channel myself, but I'm nervous. What are some tips that you will have? Man, first and foremost, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the questions. I really do, man. Anytime that you guys send something in, I take it and I hold on to it, man, because I'm a firm believer that, no one has to support. No one has to show love. They don't have to say certain things. So I really appreciate it. What I would say when it comes to starting your own channel, man, is to just, man, take that risk. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something that you enjoy, something that you want to talk about and are passionate about, then you should definitely take that risk, man. So, but you also want to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing, man. You enjoy what you're talking about. You enjoy what exactly you're doing, because this is a lot of work, man. This is a lot of work. And if you don't enjoy it, like anything in life, it can drain you, man. So definitely make sure that you are enjoying it and you can be consistent at it. If you're not going to enjoy it, you're probably not going to be consistent at it. So those are the 2 things that I would say, man. And another thing I would say is, man, don't worry about the negative stuff that people say. There's a big difference between constructive criticism, which you guys give me pronunciation. I'm trying to get better at pronouncing it. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong in certain parts. And I always ask, constructive criticism, we make each other better and we improve the channel. But there are people who will just spew hate. They will just say, man, you suck. You're not doing this right. Try not to pay attention to that. I don't. You can say all that stuff. You keep that to you. If that's how you feel, don't watch the channel. Don't watch the video. So don't get too attached to certain things, man. So hopefully that helped. Another question that's here is, who do you think is the biggest puncher in boxing today? That's a great question, man. What do you guys think? I mean, are we talking about, pound for pound? Are we talking about heavyweights? Like what division? And I think it's hard not to say, Beterbiev with the record that he has, right? One of my favorite punchers, man, is Julian Jackson. Ernie Shavers is another one. Ernie Shavers can punch. Woo, that man can punch. One of my other ones as well too. Let's see who else comes to mind. Obviously Mike Tyson. Obviously you got to put Gervonta Tank Davis, or he changed his name, and I want to respect, what he's trying to do with his Muslim faith. I just can't remember what his name is. Wahid something. Want to be respectful of that. Who do you guys think is the biggest puncher? Let's see. Read some of his older ones. I wish Chisora proves he's going to retire for his health. Man, Chisora just loves to fight, or he just loves making money. D2B says, yeah, his career is done. Breezy B says he don't listen to his corner at all in that second fight. Embarrassing. Mr. McCannell says, Apataya rematch. I saw that against Breedis. Man, Chris Welsh says, I have my own channel. I don't give a crap about subs, views, etc. I do it to give my honest opinion. I can be brutal, but who cares? My advice, just be yourself, man. Love that, man. Seriously, just be yourself. Mr. Mechanical says, facts. Appreciate you, brother. Chris Wells says, ignore the keyboard warriors who are in their mom's bedroom with pants round their ankles. Oh, man. Love that, man. Breezy B says, glad to have found you, Akeem, but gotta definitely tune in next week to your live. Appreciate you, man. I really do. Thank you for tuning in, man. I really appreciate it. D2B says, biggest puncher, pound for pound, Wilder, Inoue, Beterbiev. You can't even be mad at that. Like, it's a good list, man. They've proved that. Henry, what's up, man? What's going on, Henry? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. D2B says, Tank. Shout out to Tank. Let's see. Mr. Mechanic says Wilder. Produced by Watson says Beterbiev. Every punch hurt. Beterbiev is just devastating. Just devastating. Breedis getting KO'd. I'm not sure that. MF is tough. Yeah, he is. Breedis is tough. And you got to give him the respect. Champion. We got to give him that type of respect, but a great fight. My man Pablo says, welcome to appreciate you, man. Appreciate that, man. My man Pablo says, Akeem, love your work. Feels so nice when I get notification about new videos coming in. Big hug from Chile. Shout out to you, man. Back from Chile. Hey, what time is it over there, man? What time is it over there? Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Mr. Mechanical says, Morel also. DB says, Akeem, how'd you get into boxing? Seeing as how you have a track and field background at the highest level, it seems atypical. Man, so when I came to Canada from Jamaica, didn't really see too much boxing back in Jamaica, right? It was track and field and it was soccer. So when I came to Canada, man, turn on the TV, whole different lifestyle in itself. And one of the first things that I saw was boxing match. I forgot who it was. It might have been a Mike Tyson fight, honestly. This is older Mike. So didn't really know too much about it. Didn't really have it in Jamaica like that. But when I started doing sports, man, that's when I kind of started watching boxing, like 13, 14. And so the better that I got in certain sports, I would always try to cross train and do some boxing stuff. And I just like the mentality of boxing, man, because it's similar in track in the individual standpoint. You're not getting punched in the face, but I also speak for a living, right? And what I like about boxing, man, is, yeah, it's two guys or two women in the ring, And it seems like they're throwing shots at each other, but there's so much more that goes into it. Boxing is a great metaphor for life, right? When you get hit and you fall down, how are you going to respond? And we've seen guys that have been knocked down and came back up. And we've seen guys who has 3 losses, 4 losses, and they found their way back into bigger fights and they come back. And so that's kind of why I got into it, man. And I've been watching it and I've been doing different commentary on it. So when I started to do my own thing, man, I try to incorporate all of it. So that's a long-winded answer to say boxing was a cross training for me. And it was also one of those things where it's a great metaphor for life, man. And it's, who doesn't like seeing 2 people in the ring trying to figure out who's the better person on the night? Just the mentality of it for me always does it. In Santander. Oh man, appreciate you staying up, man. I really do, man. I really do, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. Bud's punching power. Bud Crawford's punching power is so underrated. Absolutely. Technical skills overshadows his KO power. Pablo B says Morel is my favorite. Man, it's hard not to like that guy, but this resume is far away from better form from David Benavidez. Absolutely. Let me go back to one more in the DMs that I missed from last week. And then I think we should touch on this Lennox Lewis story, man, because a lot of people have been asking me about it. So this person says last week, not going to put your name out there like that, but he says, Akeem, man, we see you talk about boxing and you mentioned that you've ran track and field, but why haven't you shown us the medal yet? Yeah, that's a great question, man. I'm not a shower like that, man. I'm not really someone to have stuff on the wall like that, man. I kind of just like to keep things low key. But if you guys want to see it, man, I have it somewhere here. I got it somewhere here. I can grab that quickly if you guys want to see it. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm not really a shower like that. My wife would probably put it up at some point, but I'm not going to do it personally, man. But if you want to see it, I got it down here. I can try to put it on screen real quick if you guys want to see it. Let me know, and I'll definitely bring it out. So, the Lennox Lewis story. Okay. Let's see. How do we want to start this Lennox Lewis story? So, this happened 2008. So I'm 17 years old. And so there was this meet in Canada at the time. This was the height of Usain Bolt being the dominant force that he is. So there was this meet at this time called Festival of Excellence. It is the one of the greatest put together fight on Canadian soil. And there was this high school meet where it's all the best high school sprinters in Canada. You get invited to this meet. And I got invited to this meet. So me and my coach fly down to Toronto. The race was in Toronto. So we get to Toronto and I do okay. I don't race that well. But the race finishes. And at this time, there's a guy by the name of Donovan Bailey. If you know a little about track and field, Donovan Bailey is a 1996 Olympic gold medalist, 1995 100-meter world champion. And my high school teacher at the time, Ken Rose, he's really good friends with Donovan Bailey. So we stayed with him. So we are, after the race, he says, Key, man, do you want to go to Lennox Lewis's retirement party? I was someone, man, where if I don't perform well, like I'm not trying to do anything fun. I didn't have a good performance. I didn't feel like having fun. I didn't feel like doing none of that. But again, I've been watching boxing for a while. I know the name Lennox Lewis. And at this time, Donovan Bailey, when he won gold, he gets invited to all of the things, all of the events. So Lennox Lewis is having this party, kind of like a retirement party. But so he says, Akeem, do you want to go? I said, man, absolutely. So we go to eat dinner, and we're going to eat dinner, and we eat dinner, and we're about to leave. We're going down the street. The party's down the street. Now, keep in mind, I'm 17 years old, right? So we're going out, and I'm moving Donovan and my teacher coach, they're outside of the building. So they're kind of moving a little bit far ahead. Again, I didn't perform well. I'm kind of in a mood, not feeling too good, feeling like I should have ran better. So I'm walking, not really paying too much attention. There's two parts to the story. Here's the first one. So I'm walking, and all of a sudden I feel like somebody grabbed my hand. And I'm like, yo, who is grabbing my hand? One, respect my personal space like that. Who is grabbing my hand? And I look around, and it's this like elderly lady. She's like, man, if I had to say, she's like 60 years old, right? And she's looking at me in a way that a 60-year-old is not supposed to be looking at a 17-year-old man, young man. And so she goes, hey, what do you do? And she's touching up and feeling up my arms. I'm like, yo, my adult chaperones are seeing what's happening and they're not doing anything to save me. What's going on here? And so she's feeling up my arms and she's looking at me and she's licking her lips. And again, I'm like, yo, like this is kind of strange. My adult chaperones are seeing what's happening and they're laughing at me. And so they come back inside and they get a little bit closer. I'm facing them so I can see them. And this lady is right in front of me. And she says, I could eat you up. I said, what? I said, no, you absolutely may not do no such thing. No, ma'am, you will not do such thing. 17 years old. I don't know what do you mean? And I'm looking at my two adult chaperones who are supposed to be helping the brother. I'm making all of the sounds like, yo, help me. And they're there laughing. And they're there laughing until finally they come and they say, oh, no, ma'am, like he's with us. He's with us. And I was just like, yo, I was a little bit embarrassed. I got a little PTSD. I can still feel it to this day. So this is the same night. So we're going down the street, man. We're going down the street and we're going to the party. So now it's like 11:30 at night. So we're going in, and I don't know how it is in different parts of the country or in the UK. I don't know what the age limit is to get into the club in Canada and different parts. In where I'm from in Canada, in Calgary, it's 18, but in Toronto, Ontario, I believe it's 21. So I'm nowhere close to being at this age limit. But, you know, I know Donovan. Donovan invited me to the party. So I'm going to the party with Donovan. And so we're going into this party. And, you know, when you have like that VIP type of service, there's other ways how to get through it. So everybody's going through the front. So we walk around the back and there's a side door. And so I'm not really minding too much what's going around me. I'm just walking where these guys were going, trying to stay close because there was other people there as well too. So I'm walking in and Donovan moving forward, he's through the door. My teacher, he's through the door, but they kind of disappear. So I'm walking through that same door and all of a sudden, again, somebody grabs me, but this time it's a little bit more force. And I'm like, yo, who is this strong individual that's holding me like this? And I look up and it's this bouncer. He's like 6'5", 300 pounds. And he's like, yo, what are you doing here? I was like, yo, I'm going with Donovan, like, you know, Lennox Lewis party. He was just like, Donovan, who? Like, I don't see anybody here because when they went in, the door closed. And he comes in and he says, yo, I know you're nowhere near 21. Yo, go home. So Donovan comes out because he noticed that I wasn't there. He comes out and he gets me into this party. So get into this party, man. It's a whole bunch of people in there. Movie is going well. Now it's about 12 o'clock, 12:15 at this point. I had a long day. And so trying to get there, trying to stay awake. 12:15, 12:30, I'm trying to stay awake. So, you know, the music's playing. I'm there rocking, you know, doing my two-step, trying to move around a little bit, trying to stay awake because Donovan said Lennox Lewis is coming. I want to see the champ. So now I go get some water. Everybody's drinking because, you know, one, I'm 17 and plus I don't drink. Even to this day, I'm not really a drinker like that. So 12:30 passes, 1:30 passes, and I saw a couch. I'm like, yo, that couch looks extremely comfortable. Let me go sit on the couch. You know, I'm still rocking, still getting my two-step on, still trying to stay awake because Lennox Lewis is coming. 1:30 comes. I'm on this couch, you know, like I'm bobbing off now. Look at my phone. It's 2:30. bobbing off now. I'm like, yo, this Lennox Lewis, I don't think he coming. 3:00 comes, Donovan looks over, and I passed out. I'm out. I'm sleeping, snoring, drink water all over the pants. I'm sleeping. I'm done. I'm out, worn out. I said, Donovan says, Akeem, do you want to go back to the studio? I said, yeah, let's go back. So, yeah, I didn't meet Lennox Lewis. I know that was not the cliffhanger that you guys thought, but that's the story. That's the story. I did not meet Lennox Lewis. It was too late. Your boy was tired. He didn't show up. It's how are you late to your own retirement party, man? I don't even know if he came up that night, but yeah, that's the story. It very anticlimactic. Lennox Lewis did not show up. Your boy fell asleep. It was time to go home. I found out that the next day that he showed up at like 4:30. So if I would have stayed an hour later, I probably would have got to meet him. But yeah, man, that's the story. A little anticlimactic, but that's the story, man. That's the story. And if I meet him again moving forward, I'm gonna tell him the same thing, man, because you got to show a little bit of punctuality in it, man. So yeah, that's the story, man. That's the story. That's the story, man. A little long-winded, but yeah, you guys, man. Yeah, you see, you guys feel my pain. You guys feel my pain. Them Cougars, bro, man, that was an eye-opening. I didn't even know what that was. Little bit scary, little bit scary. But that's the story, man. Last thing, we're over the hour by 60 minutes, man. Let's close out with something positive, something encouraging. My man Lights Out says that's fashionably late. And then there's Lennox Lewis. 100%. Man, Pablo says you should brought a sleeping bag to the club. Man, I probably should have, man. That was a rough one. That was a rough one, man. My man Chris Welsh says plot twist. He didn't meet Lennox Lewis. Anticlimactic, man. Again, let's finish here. Quote of the week. I always like to do something encouraging, something uplifting, man. Quote of the week: never lose hope. Storms make people stronger and never last forever. I'm sure when you read this, it makes me think of certain situations that we've all been through throughout our lives, man. As we build this channel and do a lot more things, and one of the things I want to do moving forward as the channel grows is to have obviously live, right? To have a live gathering in certain parts of the city. And I would love to come over to the UK at some point because I believe in community and we've created a great community here and I'm appreciative of everybody. And there are certain things where if you've heard me speak or you've seen different stages, there's certain parts of my life that were very tough. I grew up very rough, very tough. And there was a stage in my life when my mom and I were homeless, right? And it was during that time when I was homeless that I realized a bunch of different things. And one of the things that I learned was the power and the strength of gratitude. During that challenging time, I learned that, man, even in the darkest of times, you can find something to be grateful for. So when it says never lose hope, some storms make people stronger. It is those times in my early years that has prepared me for the ups and downs of sport. If I didn't go through that pain and that turmoil, I probably wouldn't have accomplished some of the things that I was able to do. And when you relate that back to your life, some of the things that you've had to endure as a young adolescent growing up and all the hills that you had to climb, all the stuff that you had to overcome, it didn't seem like it was going to be beneficial when you were going through it. But when you come out on the other side, you see, man, I went through it. Even though I didn't want to go through it, it made me stronger. It made me better. It gave me more experience. It gave me more wisdom. And the one thing that I learned about life is it's kind of like the seasons, right? You have spring, winter, all that stuff. But the seasons always change. Winter is not going to last forever. Spring isn't going to be here forever. Summer isn't going to be here forever. And it always changes and it always serves a purpose. So when I think about this quote, just because we didn't ask for certain things or want certain things to come into our lives doesn't mean it doesn't serve a purpose in our lives. But we often don't understand or gain perspective in what we're going through until we get through it. So this is what this makes me think of, man. And I hope this was an encouragement to you as you go on about your week. Some of you are already on Wednesday, but I'm a firm believer that encouragement is one of the greatest tools that we can use to bring life and to give hope. You can't really do anything if you're not encouraged, man. So let's get to these last little comments real quick, man. Pablo B says, inspiring quote, appreciate you, man. Chris Welsh, love quotes like this, proud by Watson, thumbs up. Man, we're over time again, man. I want to get this under an hour, but man, I have a great time every time that I'm on here. Love talking with you guys. Always appreciate your support and your time. I don't take it for granted by no means, man. So again, thank you all for taking the time to tune in. I hope you're enjoying it weekly. It's something that I definitely wanted to do, definitely wanted to be consistent with it. As we get into it more, I'm going to get better with all of this computer stuff. I'm going to have the comments pop up on the screen so we can all see it, so I don't got to look down and read it, man. But again, I appreciate each of you. God bless each of you, man. Stay healthy, stay warm, stay encouraged, stay positive, man. And you definitely know we will be here next week, same time, recapping the fights and a bunch more on deck, man. So again, I appreciate each of you guys. Thank you for your support, your love, your eyes, your ears. I don't take it for granted. God bless. Great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week.